Control includes having few personal possessions, wearing the same clothes regardless of circumstances, and not being allowed to speak for oneself.
Good morning and welcome to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. It is my privilege to introduce the Deputy Director, the Assistant General Manager, the Deputy General Manager for Operations, Ms. Jan Lennon.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am Jan Lennon, Deputy General Manager of Operations for Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. We are pleased to have you join us today as we discuss ways to tackle an issue of grave importance to our entire community. As you see from the PSA you just viewed, the fight against human trafficking is one that requires collaboration. To our esteemed podium guests, dignitaries, and all of you here today representing dozens of organizations and community and beyond, I welcome you to Hartsfield-Jackson. We are honored to have with us Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp and Mayor Andre Dickens, among other distinguished speakers, with whom you will hear from later in the program. We are pleased to have other partners in this fight, Clayton County District Attorney Tasha Mosley and Deputy Fulton County DA Ernell Winfrey with the Human Trafficking and Internet Child Exploitation Unit, and also want to recognize Commander Pedro Ortiz with U.S. Customs and Border Protection in Atlanta. We also would like to recognize some other distinguished guests, such as our elected officials and members of the Atlanta Consular Corps. We have State Representative Deborah Bazemore. We have City Attorney Nina Hickson. We have Gabe Harper with the U.S. Department of Interior, School Board Member Erica Mitchell, and Councilman Antonio Lewis. If we can please have each one of you stand, we'd greatly appreciate it. Today's media event is intended to highlight the ongoing collaboration between the airport and our powerful coalition of state leadership, law enforcement, and community groups to combat human trafficking in our area. Hartsfield-Jackson, the world's busiest and most efficient airport, we remain committed to stopping those who traffic men, women, and especially our children in our midst. This commitment at the airport began in November 2016, when we held our first human trafficking stakeholder forum. Today, we remain steadfast in our work to prevent human trafficking, not just at ATL, but around the globe. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you one of the campaign's most fierce proponents, the General Manager of Hartsfield-Jackson, Ballroom B. Biardari.
Thank you, Jan, and good morning, everyone. Mayor always told me that I need a stool to stand on whenever I'm at the podium, and I could see why. Now I understand. Again, to our elected officials, law enforcement agencies, and all our honored guests, thank you for being here. We take our social responsibility very seriously in stopping the flow of human trafficking through our airport. This evilness is a cancer as it ruins life around the globe. We are unserving in our goal to eradicate human trafficking in cooperation with a host of partners. Through our words, deeds, and action, we have made it perfectly clear that human trafficking through ATL will not be tolerated. It's a crime. Thanks to the concerted effort of our partners, we want you to know anyone who dares to traffic humans through our airport, we will spot you, we will arrest you, and we will prosecute you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so deeply honored to serve alongside a mayor who shares this commitment. Please help me in welcoming to the podium our 61st mayor of the great city of Atlanta, the Honorable Andre Dickens.
Thank you, General Manager Biodori, for that introduction and for your strong statements against human trafficking here at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Good morning, everyone. And good morning to all of our elected officials. Thank you for being here, Governor Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp. You've been a true committed fighter against human trafficking and sex trafficking. And we just thank you for how you've been sticking to this and really helping us to get to this point. To AG Carr, thank you for your leadership. Representative Bazemore, and to you also, our Clayton County Chairman Jeff Turner, and to a great leader over at Youth Spark, this great organization that you will hear more about from Jennifer. We have a lot of elected officials here and a lot of important people, everybody from our city attorney to the chief of police, the major over this airport, and a city attorney, the COO of the city, the chief of staff of the city, and our Councilmember Lewis. Lots of folks here. I hope I didn't forget anybody. And Fulton County Sheriffs, and of course my Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, Kenyatta Mitchell. And the reason why I name all those folks, because everybody is here because we're all in against this fight, for this fight against human trafficking. APS school board member Erica Mitchell is also here because it's important to her and to APS about human trafficking and how that might affect our young people. Yes, indeed, Atlanta is home to the world's busiest and most efficient airport in the world. This is our home. And while we pride ourselves on that and all of the nearly 100 million passengers that come through here each year, sadly, our success makes us a target for traffickers. All of those people coming here ends up, some of these individuals are in the business of buying and selling human beings. And some of those human beings are put to work in some dangerous conditions and even used for sex trafficking. And sometimes they're preying on the most vulnerable in our community, which are our children. And so often trafficking crimes are initiated in plain sight around these places. It is prevalent because it is lucrative. Atlanta's underground commercial sex industry across this region can account for as much as $300 million a year in North Georgia. But we are here today to bring visibility to this work that we have undertaken with our counterparts to end human trafficking. The City of Atlanta is happy to work alongside our federal, our local, our state, and county partners to shut down those people that are responsible for these vile and insidious crimes. That's because the work to battle human trafficking is a multi-layered effort that requires the collaboration of all of these many partners and then some. Law enforcement, airport employees, and our other partners, including a lot of our corporate citizens. This includes two of our most well-known established aviation partners. Nikki Clifton is the president of social impact of the UPS Foundation. Nikki coordinated the company's anti-trafficking awareness and advocacy initiatives. And Meg Taylor, I saw Meg earlier. Oh, there you are. Meg Taylor has also made the battle against trafficking her fight as well. Meg is the Deputy General Counsel and Chief Litigation Officer for Delta Airlines. She's a member of the airline's anti-human trafficking steering committee and has worked tirelessly in this area for more than a decade. And we appreciate the work that these two great Atlanta-based headquartered companies and the work that you're doing. So earlier this just last week, in his State of the State address, Governor Kemp called human trafficking an evil industry run by criminals. And they should never find refuge here in Georgia. And I could not agree more. He and First Lady Kemp have really been on the front lines fighting against human trafficking, and I'm just thankful for your leadership in that. And now I will turn it over to the governor now to talk about the state's efforts on human trafficking. Thank you, Governor.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership on this issue. Ballram and I have a disadvantage here on this microphone. There we go. But I just want to thank you for your leadership as well. It's an honor for Marty and I to be here. And after what Ballram said, I don't know that anybody could say it any better or with any more really sense of purpose, and I greatly appreciate that. So I'll just do what my job is today, and that's to introduce the greatest First Lady in the country that's done more, in my opinion, than anybody at the state level across the country to raise awareness on ending human trafficking, to go after the perpetrators, but also to support the innocent victims of this crime. And she's just been incredible in that effort. But I do want to just thank the mayor and Ballram and the team here at the airport. A lot of the other partners that the mayor mentioned, Representative Baymore, Attorney Clark has been there, or Chris Carr, has been there with us since day one on going after traffickers, supporting victims, and continuing to move the needle on the state's response and being part of our team. And his team we highlighted during the State of the State. And I just want to thank Attorney General Carr for his leadership. I so much appreciate Chief Schierbaum, Sheriff Labatt, the major here at the airport, all of our law enforcement officials that have been in this fight, but also just for what you do every single day out there on the road. I want to obviously thank Chairman Turner, Nikki Clifton with UPS, and Meg Taylor and our friends at Delta, and Jennifer, just want to thank you for your leadership at USPART and all that you're doing. Also just wanted to mention Tyler Perry and his team. They've been very involved in this effort. Marty has been in communications with him for literally years now on this issue, and I know he's not with us today, but he remains in the fight. And quite honestly, as I mentioned, Marty has made bringing awareness to this industry really her signature issue throughout our first term, and we continue to do that. And that's sometimes what you need. There's been people that have been in the trenches for decades in this fight, and we are simply riding on your backs and your shoulders and continuing the good work and using the bullet pulpit of the governor's office and the First Lady's voice. And we just so appreciate people like the mayor and Chairman Turner and others doing the same. But I cannot thank her leadership, but also the Grace Commission, the great team that she has that has worked on this issue for years now, and certainly the legislation that they continue to pass and have over several years in a bipartisan way. It's been some of the greatest bipartisan legislative work that I've seen in my career in state government. And we know because of that good work, lives have been saved, children have been removed from dangerous situations, and defenders have been put behind bars where they can no longer make victims of the innocent. And I just appreciate the willingness of everyone here today in this public service announcement to continue to remind our partners that you see here today from various parties and across all levels of government that we are still in this fight. And we are forcefully in this fight like Ballram so forcefully communicated to those out there that would participate in this evil industry. I would suggest they not do that here at the Atlanta airport. They not do that in the city of Atlanta, and they not do that in our state. Because especially as I said in the State of the State in regards to our children, you come after our children, we will be coming after you. And we will be coming after human traffickers. So just know that we are still in the fight. The First Lady is continuing to fight. She's been a great wife for 29 years. I already told you all she's the greatest First Lady in the country, but she's also a mother to 3 daughters, so this issue hits home with us. She's a small business owner like myself. She's a proud graduate of the University of Georgia. Go Dogs! And much more. She has a lot of issues that really, I think, matter to everyday Georgians, besides, in addition to human trafficking, like pet adoption, supporting our farmers and our agribusiness through the Georgia Grown program and Georgia agriculture, promoting literacy, but also a new focus as we go into our second term on mental health, which I know is an issue that we're all dealing with in all parts of the community. The mayor and I had a conversation about that earlier today, but also supporting foster care and adoption reform. So it's an honor for me to introduce you to a great champion on ending human trafficking and supporting the victims, First Lady Marty Kemp.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Brian, for that kind introduction and those nice words. You'd think he was in the doghouse, but he's certainly out now if he was. 1 year ago, we gathered here to commit ourselves to doing our part to end human trafficking in Atlanta and our state. It is partnerships like this that move the needle towards moving Georgia to a safe haven for survivors and a hostile environment for traffickers and buyers. Throughout this program, you'll hear about the particular dangers of trafficking here in the world's most utilized airport, with thousands of people from all across the world walking through this complex each and every day. To tackle a challenge this large and one that affects everyone both inside and outside these walls, we must remain steadfast and committed to working alongside each other. And if I remember correctly, the mayor so proudly said last year that he considered us friends. So I knew then that we were going to have a great partnership working together, and I appreciate that. Traffickers are constantly adapting and depending on their ability to hide in plain sight in crowds like the ones that fill these terminals each day. That is why it is so important that we work to educate the public on the signs of trafficking and what they can do to stop them. This year, we're adding a piece of legislation that will increase penalties for those required to post information and resources on human trafficking but fail to do so. Victims are dependent on everyone to do their part, and we must hold each other accountable to ensure we are meeting those demands. 1 year later, as we gather once more, we are reminded that we are stronger together. As a city, as a state, and as people who cannot stand by and let others face the cruelty of being forced into sexual servitude against their will, we move forward united by our desire to see this evil industry eradicated. We have a new tool in that fight that you will see soon. When we left this event last year, several of us decided to create a PSA highlighting what individuals should know about trafficking and who to contact if they spot it. I want to thank Mayor Dickens, Tyler Perry, and Representative Deborah Bazemore for seeing this project through to completion and for their own work to end human trafficking. It's fitting that we're unveiling this PSA today, the last day of Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, because it reminds us that we need to be aware of this issue and fighting it year-round. Traffickers do not take time off, and they do not let their guard down. So neither will we in our efforts to bring them to justice. I often highlight that one of the biggest ways that we can make a difference is by raising awareness of trafficking. By encouraging eyes and ears across our state, we can ensure no corner of Georgia is open to those profiting from this evil industry. This PSA is an important step towards achieving that goal, and I know with partners such as those here today and all across Georgia, we will keep working to end human trafficking. Thank you so much for working together. God bless you, and God bless this great state of Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, General Manager Barbara Biodari, Mayor Dickens, Governor Kemp, and First Lady. We greatly appreciate your support and your commitment. Now I would like to invite to the podium the president of the UPS Foundation, Ms. Nikki Clifton. As Mayor Dickens just highlighted, under her leadership, the UPS Foundation has been a critical advocate of human trafficking prevention. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nikki Clifton, the President of Social Impact in the UPS Foundation. I'm honored to be here today with the Mayor, with Governor Kemp, the Attorney General, and all of the elected officials and people who care about this issue in the fight against human trafficking. UPS and the UPS Foundation have identified community safety as one of our 4 investment areas important to the Atlanta community and aligned with our business priorities. I've led UPS's journey to take on the fight against human trafficking for 6 years, and it's encouraging to see all of the buy-in from our leaders at UPS, as well as from our drivers who care deeply about the communities that they serve every day. UPS has called Atlanta home for more than 29 years. UPS drivers are parents, grandparents, and everyday heroes. They want safe communities in which to work and live. And human trafficking poses a threat to the safety and well-being of our communities. So training our drivers to spot the signs and to make the call when they see signs of trouble is the right thing to do, and it's a sound business practice. At UPS, we show up in a number of ways to put the brakes on human trafficking. Our company offers one of the largest human trafficking awareness initiatives in the transportation industry in partnership with Truckers Against Trafficking. We've trained more than 130,000 drivers and 3,000 UPS airline pilots to recognize the signs of human trafficking and report trouble, because credible tips are necessary to help law enforcement identify victims and create a path to recovery. UPS employees have raised more than $8 million to support anti-human trafficking initiatives for organizations right here in Atlanta. Youth Spark is one of our key partners, and we are so proud to say that we've helped more than 145 youth through legal advocacy, trauma-informed case management, group therapy, and empowering activities. We've also supported Wellspring Living, raising awareness and supporting 177 women to complete the Women's Academy, a program that significantly reduces the gap of re-exploitation, and we're just getting started. Some of our executives serve on the Grace Commission, and we're really grateful for the work that's been led by the Governor and the First Lady. At UPS, we stand with human trafficking survivors everywhere. We're committed to building a more resilient, just, and safe community. Seeing the dedication of our elected officials and our community leaders is encouraging. We're so grateful for the mayor and for the governor for their leadership. It makes me proud to be part of this fight because I'm a mom, and I know that when we combine our forces, we can save our kids. And that's what we all want, is a more equitable and just world for our children. Working together, we can put the brakes on human trafficking, save lives, restore community safety in the city of Atlanta, the home of UPS, the city that we love. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clifton. We will now hear from Georgia's Attorney General, Chris Carr. Former Governor Nathan Deal appointed Mr. Carr Attorney General in 2016. Among his notable accomplishments, he has created for the state's first ever human trafficking prosecution unit. I would also like to add that Mr. Carr needs no introduction to this airport. He has stood side by side with us since day one, and we can't thank you enough for that. Mr. Carr? Good to see you.
All right, I'm going to see if I can be as talented as the mayor on this thing. I'm just going to balance it there. Jan, Ballroom, thank y'all, and everybody that is a member of the team here at Hartsfield. I cannot thank y'all enough for what you do to fight human trafficking, whether it's a resident of the city of Atlanta or the state of Georgia, or folks that I know from around the country. People are constantly telling me how they hear the messages and they see the signage at Hartsfield and how we're serious about it. And I say, absolutely, Hartsfield is serious about fighting this issue. And Governor and First Lady Kemp, y'all know how I feel, and I cannot thank y'all enough. We have national leadership in our governor and our First Lady. The Grace Commission and the work that it's done is unbelievable, bringing folks together to talk, to fight, to bring prosecutors and those that are involved in restoration and providing information. It's just an unbelievable team that we have. Mayor, thank you for being in the fight. Thank you to your team, and I just cannot thank you enough. And we've got partners from the private sector. We have nonprofit partners here. Folks often will say, well, isn't Atlanta, Georgia, the #1 state for human trafficking? Don't know. It's hard to get the data. But when you look at the leadership in this room, you look at the leadership in this state, we are the top state in the nation fighting human trafficking. Because the fact of the matter is, there are those in our society who seek to buy and sell children for sex. And when they do, they destroy a child's life, their youth, and their innocence. And in Georgia, we've chosen to say no more, not on our watch. We're grateful that in 2019, with the support of Governor Brian Kemp, First Lady Marty Kemp, the leaders in the Georgia General Assembly, we took historic action to create a first-of-its-kind human trafficking prosecutions unit. And today, we have 46 defendants who are currently under indictment for sex and labor trafficking. Some of those defendants are facing charges in multiple jurisdictions, because once we open up a case, we will not rest until all of those are responsible for trafficking are held fully accountable for their actions. Last year alone, we also obtained 6 new convictions, including our first conviction of a buyer. We led and assisted 33 case investigations, and we rescued and assisted 116 victims. That's 116 lives that will forever be changed. And these results are made possible by our strong partnerships with both state and local law enforcement. And I want to thank Sheriff Pat Labatt and his team at the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Chief Darin Schierbaum, thank you very much for all you do with APD and your partners as well, because your job isn't easy. And I want to thank you for your dedication in keeping our community safe. These members of law enforcement in particular are taking a strong and aggressive stance in the fight against human trafficking, and we are proud to work alongside them. And I also want to commend our great private sector partners, 2 great companies, UPS and Delta, for what you all do. My former colleague, Nikki Clifton, and the UPS Foundation for the incredible work she just talked about, and making sure that truck drivers identify the signs of trafficking and take action. Absolutely unbelievable what they've done. Think about it. UPS is in every single neighborhood around the world. Think about what that training does. And then Delta, the eyes in the sky, and the training that you all have done with flight attendants to make sure that we are all safe. But there is still work to be done, and I promise you this, at the Department of Law, we will leave no stone unturned, and we will not let the people of Georgia down. So to close, again, let me just reiterate how much we appreciate our partnership with Ballroom and the Jan and the entire Hartsfield-Jackson community. By leveraging our unique resources and assets, there are many ways we can come together to shine a light on this evil industry and fight back. And the more people we have working together, the more lives we can save. I am confident that our strong, unified stance against human trafficking sends a strong signal to the state of Georgia. We will not tolerate those who abuse and exploit our children for sex. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Attorney General Carr. As we work toward winning this battle against human trafficking, partnership is key from the state level to our communities. Our next three speakers represent the very best of our collaboration at the community level. We will now hear from Clayton County Chairman Jeff Turner, who always reminds us that we're sitting in his county. After Chairman Turner, you will hear from Executive Director of Youth Spark, Jennifer Swain. And following Ms. Swain, you will hear from our very own Atlanta Police Chief, Darin Schierbaum. Thank you.
Good morning. And I will not let her down. You are sitting in Clayton County, all right? But let me say this. Maybe sitting in Clayton County, city of Atlanta owns it, and we're sitting in the state of Georgia. But the one thing we all need to remember is we are working together. We are working together to make sure that we address this plague that's called human trafficking. It's impacting too many lives. And the worst part of that is the young kids. You know, I was in law enforcement 23 years. I've seen the impact of human trafficking. And I truly believe that collaborations like this is truly going to make a difference. You know, I love all that Governor Kemp is doing. I love what the city's doing, and so much others, our city partners, county partners throughout the state, and our state agencies. A lot of people think that this should fall on the shoulders of law enforcement. Law enforcement are small in numbers compared to the number of people that's in this state, the number of people that go through this airport. We need to be aware. We need to continue to bring awareness to this plague, and we need to make sure that when people see something, they say something. If something looks out of the ordinary, if a little kid's trying to pull away from someone, I would much rather it be reported and turn out to be nothing, as opposed to another child being taken. And thank you. You know, there's a house in Clayton County called Gigi's House. Sabrina Crawford is the CEO and founder of that organization. They are doing a wonderful job taking care of the victims of human trafficking, that a lot of them come from out of this airport. I can't wait, and I pray every day. And she's building another house, another wing onto where she's at, because the need exists. But I can't wait till that day comes when those rooms will be empty, and we can say that, yes, we have the world's busiest and most efficient airport, but we also have non-existent human trafficking going on through our airport, through our state, through our counties and cities. So let's continue to fight the good fight and make a difference in those people's lives. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I don't have to touch the mic. I'm good there with the talls. Jennifer Swain, the Executive Director of Youth Spark, and to Jan and Mr. B and the leadership of the airport, we appreciate the platform for us to be here. To our wonderful mayor here in Atlanta, thank you so much for your leadership. I am still singing the Year of the Youth in my head from such a wonderful pep rally yesterday. To our governor and our first lady, thank you so much for what you do. Attorney General Carr, I'm glad that we're able to do this and see. I think I've seen you all together as much than I've seen you in all the pandemic. But right now, I feel like that there's so many people that we can talk about, but I want to bring space for our young people. As I sat here and listened to the remarks and being able to take in the fact that all of Atlanta's and Georgia's leadership took time out of their day to be here is amazing. I watched the young people walking through the court, because that's what we do now as kids. We just watch young people all the time just to see what we can see. And when I see these young people walking through, it warms my heart, because they are living a life free of trafficking. They are living a life where they have someone holding their hand and they feel safe and supported. But I wish that for all of Atlanta's young people, all of Georgia's young people. I want to hold space right now for 9 of our young people that we're actively looking for with so many of these partners in the room. 9 seconds of silence mean that we see them. They are not lost. They are not forgotten. They did not fall through the cracks. We will continue to work with our partners. And the good thing about Georgia here is that when you are rescued and when you are saved, when our law enforcement, our leadership, and the laws on the books are working the way that they're supposed to, you will lovingly fall into the arms of a Youth Spark or a Wellspring Living. You will lovingly fall into the arms of the Georgia Center for Child Advocacy and the Children's Advocacy Centers, because at the end of the day, we've done this press conference at the airport for several years, but when Ms. Nina started this work in 1999, most people didn't think of why the corporations like UPS and Delta had to be at the table. I, at Youth Spark, a small, mighty staff of 10, feel like, oh my gosh, all these people know about what we do. They're thinking of us. They're holding space. They're allowing us at their table. You all visit with us in a small center inside of the Fulton County Juvenile Court, and it is important. Our young people who are experiencing exploitation, abuse, who are missing and disconnected, they feel the same way. How honorable is it that you all care about me? How important is it that you will stand there and create that one law that will save maybe 2 to 3 victims on the early point? Everything that we do here in Georgia through this collaboration touches our kids, and I want all of you in the room, including our media partners, to never forget that the seeds you plant at the table is just as important as that law enforcement officer who is saving that kid in the middle of the night. You're just as important as the direct service worker who's standing there when that child is having a trauma breakdown. Every seed that you plant, every sign that you post, every store that you hold accountable for doing that, every policy you write at the school board level, it trickles down to those kids. So you all don't get to see the benefits of the seeds that you plant. But I stand here for all of those young people to say thank you. It is working. It matters. Don't give up. It is a long fight, because it was 22 years ago when this began. And you can see, as you say, General Carr, that we are responding well. So when you think about the young people and you wonder, does the awareness matter? Does that one phone call to my legislator actually matter? Does showing up at that one visit make a difference? It does. And we will continue to support the efforts of our law enforcement, because we know that you're not social workers. We know that it requires a community response. So to all of you, I stand here for all of our young people who don't get to be here. I'm going to invite them next year, because they're going to be the ones that stand on our shoulders as we've stood on yours. So I can't thank you all enough for taking the moment to express this work. And January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, but February through December is Human Trafficking Action Month. And I invite all of us to take a part of that. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Darin, Schierbaum, Chief of Police of the Atlanta Police Department. Have the opportunity to lead the incredible, brave men and women that I see around this atrium right now. And to everyone that wears a uniform for your state, for your county, for your city, thank you for standing in the gap for our citizens. Mayor, Governor, and First Lady Kemp, Attorney General, Chairman Turner. As I close this event, I do want to just bring thank you and for us to remember the victim that never was. I look around the room and I see unity. I don't see politics, but I see purpose, and I don't see political division, but I see a joint determination for the victim that never was. And law enforcement cannot carry it alone. You are correct. It takes everyone, the private sector, the politicians, to be about a unified purpose that says we will transcend politics and division because for the victim that never was. And so I am proud to call myself an Atlantan today, a Georgian today, when I look around the room and I don't see division, I don't see politics, I see purpose, I see determination for the victim that never was. And so as we leave here today, we don't conclude a month, we continue in our journey to continue fighting for this good cause, for the victim that never was, for putting on notice human traffickers that not in Georgia. They will learn that we don't fight just on a football field, Governor, but we fight in the hard way. And they will learn, Mayor, that when you ask us, how are the children in Atlanta, Georgia, Mayor, the children are well. Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you. As you can see, the strength of our collaboration can make a difference and has made a difference. Human trafficking is 365. We've heard the progress that has been made, and we clearly understand there is more work to be done. We all must become verbs. A verb is a word that shows action. We must stand firm and never give up in letting the world know that humans are not for sale. Not then, not now, not ever. Thank you so very much for joining us for this press conference. I will bring Andy Gobill back up. We're going to give you an opportunity to see our PSA again before we reach out to the media. Thank you. Andy.
Thank you, Jan. As mentioned, you've heard a discussion about this PSA, which was a collaborative effort of the governor's office, the mayor's office, Representative Bazemore as well, and Tyler Perry. Please watch this. We are going to share this along our various social media channels, and when you see it, please amplify it, retweet it, repost it, take a look, and listen to the message. Thanks.
Human trafficking is a horrible crime involving the illegal trade of people for exploitation or commercial gain. Traffickers use violence, threats, lies, or other forms of control to manipulate their victims and coerce them into acts against their will. Unfortunately, trafficking hides in plain sight, especially in places where people gather, like airports.
In Georgia, we are united in the fight to eradicate human trafficking.
We've worked hard to create a safe haven for survivors and a hostile environment for buyers and traffickers.
State, local, and federal agencies have made great strides in the fight, and you too can play a part in keeping our children and vulnerable adults safe.
Please be on the lookout for suspicious activity and know that if you see something, it's okay to say something to authorities.
Some of the telltale signs of human trafficking to watch for are poor physical health, lack of control, and more. Poor physical health can manifest as signs of poor hygiene, malnourishment, or signs of physical abuse. Lack of control includes having few personal possessions, wearing the same clothes regardless of circumstances, and not being allowed to speak for oneself. Other signs to watch for include avoiding eye contact and hesitating to talk to strangers, and an inability to clarify where they are staying, or tattoos branding them as a member of sex trafficking.
It is up to us to combat these evils and keep our children and vulnerable adults safe. If you think you have witnessed a traffic situation, keep careful track of your observation to report. If the victim is in immediate danger, call 911. Otherwise, you can call 1-866-END-HTGA, where trained law enforcement agents and advocates and first responders are available 24/7. That number again is 1-866-363-4842. Together, by knowing the signs of trafficking and who to contact, we can help end trafficking in the Peach State and beyond.
Welcome to Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International.
Governor, Mayor, Rep. Tyler, thank you very much for doing that. At this point, what we would like to do right now is invite the speakers on up here. We're going to take a few pictures. Once that is concluded, we will allow the media to meet one-on-one with the principals as well. So those who spoke, Meg, if you would like to come on up as well, please feel free to join us.